You're now listening to the Something Good Podcast Network. Please press any key to continue.
Hey folks, this is Morrison from the Couch Brotatoes, and we need to let you know firsthand that this is a graphic show that isn't for everyone. So please go in with a little bit of discretion, and if you don't like it, fuck off.
The only motive was to completely control a person and keep them with me as long as possible.
They are a product of the times that you have left us behind.
I have killed people for nothing. Just for somebody to look at me wrong, I would kill them.
Maybe I should have killed 400 or 500 people, then I would have felt better. Then when I felt like I really offered society something.
And you're going to get your asses nuked in the end. And pretty soon it's coming. 2019, a rock's supposed to hit you anyhow. You're all going to get nuked.
Are you mad? Do you feel like...
And I'm telling you because the cops let me keep killing them, Nick. Don't you get it?
We will kill again.
This podcast loves Norm McDonald.
Well, as you heard from the intro, this is going to be a special edition of the podcast. It's That Murder Show. It's Halloween season, y'all. It's fucking October. Y'all have already two of y'all been celebrating without me, talking about horror kaiju movies, and damn it, it's time for me to talk about the shit I know.
Yeah.
I know fucking true crime documentaries, motherfucker. Let's talk about that
I
shit.
know the pure monsters of this world.
Right? I know about the real monsters. Y'all like this Fantasyland bullshit.
It's too real with these.
I like it all.
I do too.
I know. I just gotta
I'll
have
throw
some
it into
fun
the fucking
here.
meat grinder. I don't give a shit.
Look, I've been gone for a few weeks. I gotta come in guns a blazing. What the fuck?
Yeah, no, you're missing
I'm all
our
jacked up on weed and coffee, motherfuckers. Let's do this.
You're going to love our second to last episode of Kaiji. I know that.
I know. I still gotta get to editing those. I've been running around doing bullshit, man.
See, somebody was talking about this. I forget who it was, about how we consume true crime, just anything, like it's nothing these days, just because it's so like ever present, whether it's on
because
Netflix
we don't have like active serial killers running around from bus stop to bus stop slaughtering people.
That's true. They're kind of a thing of the past. Now it's
now it's all wife killers and
mass shooters and things like that.
That's it.
That's it.
No,
That's all it is.
No guys with true substance.
Not like
not have like an itch
Right.
that needs to be scratched. You know what I'm saying? Oh, poor little Johnny got bullied in the cafeteria, so he went clack clack at the goddamn math department. I don't give a fuck about that kid. I want the guy who was beaten as a child, who really is into clowns and has a big crawl space.
And it's that thing where, has been anyone on John Wayne Gacy that's been out?
There is. There's a new one out on John Wayne Gacy. It's like a 5-part series.
Oh, really?
It's really good because there's a whole joke. It's not really a joke. I think it's funny though. They're like, oh no, he wasn't. He couldn't have put all them bodies down there. It's like he had so much other space. No, he didn't. It was the 50s. It's going to look weird as fuck no matter what decade it is. Driving out to the middle of bumfuck nowhere, burying a small body.
Right. It was like Wisconsin or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's where
Dahmer's from too, right?
Yeah, what was her name? The lady that ran for president.
Oh shit. Not
back when Donald Trump was running.
Oh,
Sarah Bachman. She's
gotcha.
like, I'm from the hometown of John Wayne. And they're like, no, bitch, that's John Wayne Gacy. That's the hometown of John Wayne Gacy.
Well, a lot of bullshit apparently comes out of Wisconsin because Manitowoc was home of the Stephen Avery trial.
Yeah. At this point, I just think he did it.
Really?
I could give zero. There could be zero evidence. He probably didn't even do it. I'm just tired of hearing about it. Just lock him the fuck up. I really don't care.
I was gonna say, I'm not read up on Stephen Avery, so y'all know more about this than I do.
Yeah. So I attribute Stephen Avery and Making a Murderer to being part of the reason true crime is so, I don't know, prevalent these days or so talked about. It feels like that was the first case in a long time that really captivated folks, and it didn't help the fact it came up on, one of the biggest streaming platforms ever, Netflix.
That's what I think changed the genre to begin with. So
and that was in 2015 is when season 1 came out.
Before this, I grew up watching Cold Case Files with my dad.
Yeah.
Or watching Unsolved Mysteries when I was little. There was always true crime, but when the streaming platforms were able to produce their own thing, because HBO did the same thing with their documentaries, but HBO documentaries are very substance driven. There's a lot to take away from HBO doc, and I'm not saying it's a better or lesser quality, but Netflix is like,
was the next step up
they
from
are
HBO.
A fucking drug dealer when it comes to fucking true crime. They're like, oh, did you like Stephen Avery? Did you know? And then it's like Richard Ramirez lives in a hotel in Brooklyn somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just like it's slaughtered motherfuckers.
Then it's Ted Bundy movies, and then it's fucking. We got a Dahmer series that's coming out next year.
And the last great documentary I saw on HBO just about crime was probably the story of the Grim Sleeper.
I haven't watched that yet, but I like the Iceman.
Yeah, the
series
Iceman tapes.
Yeah, Iceman
but the only
tapes.
difference in the Iceman tapes was he wasn't a serial killer in the sense that he liked doing it. He considered it like, well, yeah, I got to go to work. You know,
he was an assassin.
Yeah, like he treated it like a McDonald's employee. Fuck, I got to go to work today.
But he kind of rode that line between just it being his job and him actually getting a little bit of pleasure out of it too. Yeah. Because he would just kill, just as quick as looking at you too. Working for the mob and all that.
And the thing is I think the Stephen Avery case was primed for it actually being a really good documentary, because part of the documentary isn't even it discussing what happened with the death of Teresa Hallbuck, the victim. It starts out by showing that he was falsely convicted in 1985 of sexual assault. Yeah. And as soon as he was able to be released, so he was convicted in 1985, he wasn't released until 2003.
Oh, wow.
And that's what started off the whole documentary, was them discussing how he was wrongly convicted for so long over a sexual misconduct over a woman on a beach that he had nothing to do with. He had all the alibis in the world, but the police detective did not like the Averys. The Averys kind of had a name around town. They weren't willing to listen to anything. They were just happy that they got an Avery, small town thinking, and just locked them away. And it took forever for them to finally get him exonerated. And it was a interesting turn of events that as soon as he was about to sue the county for misconduct, the lawyer that he had at the time was trying to get multitudes of millions of dollars out of the city. Within a couple weeks later, Teresa Hallbuck dies, and all eyes are on Stephen Avery. So I feel like it was a prime targeted thing for it to be a good documentary, because not only was there the intrigue of the murder mystery, but there were so many other extenuating circumstances that led up to this. And then you pile on all the other evidence on top of it, and it really does just seem like another corrupt court situation, where almost as if the murder is secondary to it actually being more of a documentary on how the justice system works and how corrupt the police system could possibly be if he actually is innocent.
That's why I like rewatching The Wire, because it kind of delves on similar subject matter. And I'll probably dive into the Making a Murderer series now, with all that in mind too.
Oh yeah, and the best way to describe it, I feel like season 1 does a really good job laying everything out for you. Season 2 almost goes into it Mythbuster style. Okay. They kind of do a little bit better, drawing out exact timelines. Season 1's a little bit jumbled. Season 2, they kind of almost show you a graph of the stuff timeline, so you can actually visualize it. And then this fucking attorney they've got right now, I forget her name. I was hoping it was going to be on the little one page I had up here, but it wasn't. Kathleen Zellner, that was her name. Yep. She is fucking boss. It's insane.
She's the go-to, if you're innocent on death row, she's the go-to.
Oh yeah, she has a completely clean track record with every one of her cases so far. Every single person she's gotten, she's either proven that they actually were guilty and made a statement on such, or was able to get them exonerated. She does the thing of, if you're guilty, you don't want me. I will find out. She's like, but if you're innocent, I will get you out.
Genuinely one of the good guys.
Oh yeah, so she takes center stage.
She's a diametrically opposite of Nancy Grace.
Yes, that's a perfect way to describe it.
This motherfucker doesn't smile at the Easter Bunny. You know what he is? He's a genocidal maniac.
Yeah, so season 2 just goes into a little bit of her backstory, what she's doing, and they go Mythbusters on this shit. They go, okay, well, they're trying to say blood splatter came across like this. Let's get the top forensics investigators I have in my back pocket. Let's grab the fucking, let's grab an exact RAV4, exactly like Teresa had. Let's take it out in this fucking warehouse and let's replicate the results.
So it is The Wire.
Yeah, and so they go full Mythbusters on this shit. They bloody up a fucking, like, human body, like, look-alike, and they try tossing it in there, like, a good, like, 10, 15, 20 times, trying to get the blood to splatter the same way, all this other shit, putting blood on their hand and, you know, doing certain actions that they said he did. Oh, they go, like, hardcore in depth with it. But, spoiler alert, motherfucker's still in jail.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And the worst part about it, I know you don't really care about Stephen Avery's part himself. And, you know, as much as I've been gushing about it, you know, I probably do agree with you, Chris, where it's like, I really don't care at this point if he did it or not. The part that bugs me, and I feel like you'll agree with me on this, is the Brendan Dassey part.
I was going to bring that up, actually. So
that's the part that still really upsets me, honestly.
This mimics an HBO doc when it gets to that part. We all know the West Memphis 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if you know the parts of it.
I've seen the first two.
Okay, I don't know if you know the actual fucked up, like true fucked up part of this is.
Which part?
All three boys are convicted because one of them is slow.
Yeah.
Let's target the slow kid. He's going to make him turn. I'm going to put words in his mouth. And guess what? I can put them both in jail, clear a case.
All on this dude's testimony.
No muss, no fuss. Brendan Dassey, mirror of what happened in Arkansas.
Because they're like, let's get the freaks and put them in jail because they make us uncomfortable.
It's not even just freaks. It's like, I can make a slow person say whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I don't care who watches this stuff.
And that is a tactic
it is.
of the police force. Police, and you know how I feel about the motherfucking police.
I couldn't even tell just by the way you described them.
I sound like a right-wing conservative to a lot of people, but I am an anarcho-socialist when it comes to the cops. It's a gang, and they have one job: put people away. That's what the cops are. They're a gang who put people away. Whether they're guilty or not is not their purview. They're supposed to find evidence, find a suspect, and let the judicial system take course.
Yeah.
But under that purview, they don't care really about guilt or innocence. It's about numbers, and it's a numbers game.
It's still a business.
Yeah, it is a business. Speaking of a fucked up business, shout out to Florida for giving cops all that money and forgetting to raise the dispatcher pay.
I saw
who
that.
make as much as McDonald's employees.
Woo!
Woo!
But the crazy
That's the
thing,
sound of them not coming to your house.
so no, I've not seen the. I know a lot about the West Memphis stuff, but I don't think I've actually sat down and watched the documentaries. But the thing is like the thing that really irked me about Brendan's case, and some of the documentary doesn't even go over it, mainly because it would honestly bore the traditional viewer. But when you pay attention to the statement that the cops made Brendan right, he says to his mom when he's in jail a few times, "I read it in a book." Well, when you actually go and look at the curriculum and find the book that he's discussing, it mirrors a lot of what his testimony was. So he was actually writing out what he was fantasizing in his head, mixed with clear on tape, non-edited, and there's even full 2-hour, 3-hour versions of it on YouTube. I've double checked it. They did not do bullshit editing. The cop is literally telling him, okay, in this photo, draw the change going up to the bed and shit like that. The cop is literally telling him what to draw. And then a few hours later, motherfuckers get on TV showing off the drawings saying, Brendan confessed to everything Stephen did. Look at this, that, and the other, yada, yada, yada. And then the trial starts. So they've already tampered with public opinion before the trial even starts. So you can't even have a good jury because they've already been tainted by the news. So it's just an entire fucked up thing, and it drew me in big time.
So, in the same as the West Memphis 3, Jesse Misskelley, he's the odd man out.
Yeah.
He's the friend of the other two. Now, I see Making of a Murderer ending if the cops in the city want to save face. They will end it the same way the West Memphis 3 ended. Offer them an Alfred plea of guilty and let them on their way. Because...
And explain what that is.
An Alfred plea is created in North Carolina. It basically is the most laziest version of saying, I'm guilty, but I'm not fucking guilty. I'm going to take the guilt. I'm going to let you find me guilty so we can shut this shit down.
Okay, so it's like on their record, but they don't serve time anymore?
Yes.
It's basically just kind of going, fine, I did it. Are you happy?
All right. So, yeah, and then with the misnomer of saying, I didn't do this, but I'm going to take the hit anyway.
Yeah.
So you'll shut the fuck up.
Because you've tortured me in a fucking prison cell. I don't want out.
Yeah.
I've watched plenty of docs about guys who are on death row for years at a time who are not guilty, but are still like, just fucking kill me already. I'm not using my appeals, fucking murder me, because if this is what you want. You want me to suffer, and you want me to stay in prison for something I didn't do. So just fucking kill me, and let's just get it over with, because obviously you have a bloodlust that needs to be filled.
And it just cycles back to what you were saying earlier about it's a numbers game. They got the number, and if they get rid of that person, then they have to get rid of that number. Yeah. And that's another tick on their system. Oh, not only did we not get the guy, we got the wrong guy for how many years?
Same as police getting quotes for like how many people they have to pull over per month or whatever.
Yeah, a quota.
Yeah.
But for something like this, he's a threat to the status quo of that small little shit town.
Mm-hmm.
All right. He is bringing forth a case that the town failed. And I don't think people really gauge that when thinking about what a trial really is. It's you against the town. That's what a trial is. It's
the people versus whoever.
The people of this area versus Chris Morris and Cap. That's what that is. And if they fail, it is a blemish on the town, because the prosecutor you hired, and keep in mind, these people are hired, did a shit job at what they did. They did a shit job on follow through. And that's why I think small towns shouldn't be allowed to try people. I think you go to the nearest goddamn city and throw it in that court with an unbiased group of people who don't live in Hickville, USA.
Especially in like a town like West Memphis.
Because
Arkansas.
we grew up here in it shit.
And Manitowoc fucking... Because, dude, oh my God. Quick side note, but not to break up your tangent. But, dude, when I was on the road with Tuck recently, they did a show in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And we had to drive out a little bit to the hotel. And it totally didn't dawn on me that we were in Wisconsin until like the next day. And when I pulled up Google Maps, dude, we were 20 minutes from the fucking salvage yard. Yeah. And you
nerded out.
Well, not only that, but to cycle back to exactly what you were saying, Chris, dude, I 100% agree with you, especially being around that area. Like, we stopped at an IHOP or a Denny's or something the next morning, and like everyone there, it's like I got like big time Gaffney, South Carolina vibes, and it's like, and I know what those kind of people are, and man, it may be controversial, but I agree with you, dude. I do not think people of that caliber need to be in charge of people's lives like that.
I'd agree with that too.
See, like a small town is no different from a church you go to.
Yeah.
Very like-minded on some things, and the more people you get in there, the more differences show. And it's not saying we can't overcome those differences, or that small town can, but I would strongly put my money on they would want to kill it, because it's something else. Now, they talk about Stephen Avery in that show like being sub-fucking human because his family are like that.
Yeah. It's because his family is like super poor and basically live on a salvage junkyard.
Yeah, same as the whites of West Virginia.
Yeah.
They are a fucking subspecies to some of those people because they bring a blemish on those people. They make everyone think, oh, they represent us. We don't want that.
Especially since they have notoriety and things like that too.
And I'm kind of, I'm 50-50 on the death penalty. You really have to be a fucking monster to be put down. And I mean, I need physical evidence. I need collaboration. I need a survivor.
Yeah.
To prove that you need to be put down. Because you do. Because if you want to do that, you're an animal.
Yeah.
And you want to be killed. For this case, you don't even have physical fucking evidence, man.
Yeah.
You have the word, and I'm going to say this, and you might not like it, a retarded fella against the word of a competent man. He might look stupid, but he's not stupid.
Yeah, like,
that's what he's doing.
It's like everyone in that family, their IQ isn't skyrocketing.
Yeah,
so it's like everyone's working behind the 8 ball to a point, but the man is still able to live his life and run a business and do his daily functions. He's a functioning adult.
Yeah, and we all know somebody that's outside the grid.
Of course.
Who's not gonna be down with the fucking city. The guy who doesn't go to the company picnic, you know what I'm saying? That kind of fella. But to summarily say that he killed and maimed a woman, and do that on the word of a misguided child. Okay, no matter what age he will be, he will always be a child.
Yeah,
because of capacity, is reprehensible in my book. You know, for a local government. No, we haven't done this kind of shit en masse since probably 1948, where we just automatically throw guilt at the person on the outside of the tent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it bothers me that they're allowed to continue this kind of thing. But the only way to stop it, and you got to vote these motherfuckers out. You got to bring it change. And I'm not saying like integrate, differences into your society. Gated communities exist for a reason.
You're going off on a bit of now tangent here, Chris.
But I would not be surprised if they give him an Alford plea just to sweep it under the fucking rug.
Yeah.
Like West Memphis, Arkansas.
And the thing is like
God's blind spot.
And it's like we've discussed West Memphis 3. We've discussed, the Stephen Avery trial, and it's like, at what point do we also go, well, this also happens so much. Why do we only hear about these certain cases? I guarantee you there's other Stephen Averys out there. There have been other, metalhead kids that have been, put in the wrong place at the wrong time and, are still probably dealing with shit.
That goes back to the 80s satanic panic. I mean, you think people like Jerry Falwell for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
God. I hope he was molested as a child. I really do. I really do.
This was staying a Patreon exclusive.
I'm just saying, I hope he was molested.
I genuinely hope that.
But yeah, so it's like, I don't know. I just wanted to make sure, or at least to kind of mention that is like, we do talk about this stuff, but it's mainly because it's put in front of our fucking faces.
And it is one of the biggest crime docs in the last probably 5-6 years.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, Tiger King's kind of like came out of
That's
nowhere
part
with that, too.
Shout out to them for their part 2.
I was gonna maybe wait until a little later. I didn't want to like immediately kick off with that. Would we consider that a true crime documentary?
It is not true crime in the sense that making of a murderer.
Because that came up when I just typed in true crime on my laptop. It was like Tiger King season 2.
Tiger King is a look at a world we're not familiar with, and we probably never would be.
Right, the exotic animal trade and all that.
Because it's very well-rounded on some of the looks. Stephen Avery is criminal, beats the system backhands this motherfucker back to hell. That is the story. That is the story of Stephen Avery.
As fucked up as it is, you're right.
Yeah. And that'll be imprinted on his prison-made gravestone. This motherfucker looked at us and he blinked. Okay.
Yeah.
The end. Tiger King, though, is conspiracy after conspiracy. It involves hate on a whole new level. Where there's this
bitch Carol Baskin.
Yeah, like
and a whole world of where it's like
flustered you just by saying that.
I watched this in a day because my sister said, "Hey, did you hear about the tiger guy on the Netflix?"
And the tiger guy on the
Netflix.
So I pull up Netflix and I'm like,
the Netflix.
What is this dumpster fire that I'm watching? Because I couldn't stop watching.
No,
like
nobody could.
Everyone else in America, I had to know what this gay country singer who owned a tiger farm had to say.
That didn't actually sing on his shit.
Yeah. And then I realized it about episode 2. I realized what I was watching. I was watching an excerpt from a Last Week Tonight with Jamie Oliver, John Oliver. That's when I first John Oliver. That's when I first heard of the Tiger King, because he was running for president.
Yeah,
in Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma, he was a gay redneck from Oklahoma, running for president. And I'm just like, great opener, by the way. I hate paying taxes. I am a homosexual, and blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, hell yeah, man. Good luck. I'd vote for you twice. But that's when I first heard about it, and that was years ago. And then this comes on,
yeah,
and I'm like, Oh my
I love
god!
how your microphone stand even gave you like a musical cue.
And then
Just start playing offbeat dubs like to make everyone uncomfortable when they're like looking at a single wide on a cruise side. They always do that. I was telling him about it. I was watching that stupid fucking thing about the devil. Like, they zoom in on this shitty double wide and they start playing. Just to make it look like her double watched the devil. Like this is where the evil lives. Yes. In a fucking half-acre lot with a fucking double wide and a fucking low deck porch.
these people were evil. No, they were fucking rednecks.
They were poor. But
The worst evil. The pores.
The poor. Yes, the story of Stephen Avery. The pories.
Well, the crazy thing about Tiger King, I've actually not made it all the way through. We were watching some of it in West Virginia. That's as far as I got.
That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
You watch one episode, you're done.
But the crazy thing is I never went there, but I asked Mom about it later because they were showing like this wildlife thing in like Myrtle Beach.
I've been there.
She had too.
Every kid in North and South Carolina's been there.
And that's what was killing me. I was like, and I showed her like the place. I was like, did you ever go there? She goes, oh my God, yeah, we've driven by it a bunch. I think I went there once before. And I was like, oh shit. So I was like, it's in this Tiger King documentary. She's like, I watched it. I was like, I haven't yet.
But watching it, it is a multifaceted story.
Yeah, because there's so many sidebars and like there's like it's almost like a TV show with all these characters, you know.
Yeah. But it's also like a VH1 behind.
Basically.
He's a snake Nazi.
What's the deal with all these tigers?
No husband for you.
That bitch Carol Baskins. All right, no, that'd be Kramer.
Gary, I want to see that movie now. Kramer playing the fucking tiger.
Oh shit!
Well, dude, Nick Cage was going to play him in a movie.
Oh my God.
Nick Cage was going to be the Tiger King, and they canceled it. And,
I would have watched that.
Oh yeah, I would have. Fuck you. That would be the one Nick.
That
Cage.
would have been the one thing I watched.
Yeah, that would have been the one Nick Cage movie I went to a theater and saw.
Twice.
We would have all went there
Yeah.
together.
But
like
like,
the Mystery Science Theater kind of deal with
it also goes like down the path of behind the music. Like, yeah, there was a kid that died. One's a homosexual. One may have killed their husband. Like, it is a behind the music of some band, of some obscure band that we've already heard of twice. Yeah. But that's how it plays out. These obscure lives that involve a murder, trafficking of animals,
conspiracy,
polyamorous relationships,
in
Myrtle Beach, and Myrtle Beach,
Myrtle Beach. Yeah. Goddamn motherfucking Myrtle Beach.
Yes, that would be played at his funeral.
Yes.
But
with him singing it.
But not just that, but like
him lip syncing it.
Yes.
But the large celebrity that they believe they have. All right. So like this is how much I forget about this shit. I don't even remember the dude's name.
Yeah, really.
The Tiger King's name.
I can't either.
I don't even fucking know. You know what?
I don't either. I only remember Carol Baskin because that turned into a fucking meme for a minute.
But that was the conspiracy. All right. So that was the great thing about the documentary. It drives home a conspiracy.
And they don't hit you with that until like episode 2 or 3.
Man, how do we forget the name Joe Exotic?
Yeah. Joe Exotic. Goddamn. Yeah. How do we forget that?
He's in prison and he's locked away forever. He'll be the Stephen Avery of Myrtle Beach.
But no, I will say that's how they did pretty good on that documentary. Like the first episode or 2, it makes it really seem like it's mainly about the tigers and like, you know, bad trades and, you know, all this shit. And then like episode 2 or 3, they hit you with the, I heard Carol Baskins killed her husband. Boom. Yeah.
But I love how self-aware the documentary becomes, because if you watch Carol Baskins in that show, and it is a show, a documentary is a very loose way to say it.
Yeah.
But it is an entertainment documentary.
And
every time
the highest form,
every time they film Carol Baskins, she's with an animal behind a cage. And then there's an excerpt of her saying, I can't believe he keeps these animals in cages. And I'm just like, bravo, because you were able to troll this bitch into a corner. It's like, just move her into a corner of her own bullshit.
She's like the textbook definition of delusional.
And then he says, oh yeah, Doc Anton, I can remember that name because it's so fucking stupid. In Myrtle Beach, he's sleeping with all these women. They're all working for nothing. It's probably a cult. Meanwhile, she has this weird right-wing tier system, like a fucking pyramid scheme to work for her, where you slave 12-hour days, 6 days a week with her before you get your yellow badge, which is some weird mental kung fu that she's doing on these fucking cultists. Like, it's just, I'm helping the animals. They're still in cages, bitch. Like, within a certain amount of time, if you got rid of yours, you would have made more success in doing your fucking thesis. Your mantra of your stupid little cult is to stop putting animals in cages, but you keep putting animals in cages.
Because you don't realize that it's a fucking tiger that will eat you.
I'm rescuing tigers. No, the fuck you're not. Stop breeding tigers, one, and let the species just die out because of us. Yeah. Okay? You're not saving animals. You're enslaving a species.
Let's not have the last tigers on Earth being fucking Myrtle Beach.
Yeah. I don't want to wake up one morning and like, when I'm 50 and being like, hey, we finally did it. We predated the fucking tiger. Now it's an ant. Now it's a pet. Like Russia did with foxes. Like, because that's what Russia did. A little fun fact of the day: Russia's predated foxes, and what predated means is it genetically changes an animal through generation and generation of breeding into where it's a dog. Okay, that's what they did with foxes, and that's what she wants to do with tigers. That's the conspiracy. And I bet her husband said, "You're a dumb bitch," and she killed that motherfucker, and she threw him in the tiger cage. That's what Carol Baskins did, and Joe Exotic probably did it with 3 other boys we didn't even know existed.
That's the Chris Morrison review of Tiger King.
You bring up a good point about how these true crime
how they're all murderers.
About how they're all like TV shows at this point.
Yeah,
like,
they're fucking caricatures of the human conspiracy.
They really are. Because I watched this doc recently. We've all watched this doc recently on the Pazuzu story.
Yeah,
on
the North Carolina motherfucker.
It's on Hulu for guys that haven't watched it yet. It's through Vice, and it's all about this guy in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, who started essentially a fucking Satanist cult.
Yeah,
but just killed motherfuckers and was just a nasty, grimy redneck. That was his whole thing.
He's a Winston-Salem Ed Gein.
Yeah. Right.
Is that where he was, Winston-Salem?
Yeah, right above Winston-Salem.
Okay,
yeah. But like the whole that's just like one part of the story, and then it gets in these sidebar characters where like everybody that was involved that knew.
Right? Like, what the fuck is this about? Like, tell me more about the black lady who lost her son. And fuck
really,
Vice,
that just kind of gloss over that.
And fuck Vice for trying to tell me. They kept showing pictures of a little boy. And she said, they made him smoke a cigarette and then they blew his brains out over a bridge. I'm like, they killed a child and made him smoke a cigarette? No, he's a grown-ass man. And they didn't show his fucking adult picture. No. They do not at any point say this was an adult man they killed. No, I'm just assuming they killed an 8-year-old.
Yeah, it's more about like
I mentioned that to him like we were watching. I'm like, did they kill a fucking kid? And like the cops just gloss over that shit?
No, let's cut to this fucking couple that's doing heroin with the girls, like tricking herself out for drug money.
Why the fuck do I care about these heroin addicts? These little scum punks that are running around on a moped trying to get the welfare? Like, I don't care about these people.
These are some motherfuckers we'd see at Snug Harbor on a fucking Tuesday night.
If I was
you literally do at one point.
Yes.
That's the thing that really got me. So it's like I had heard of the name Pazuzu living in North Carolina. I'd never really done much digging into it. And a couple months ago, that thing came on Vice. So I watched like the first episode or two. And I was like, oh my God. And I told Cap, I was like, you've got to fucking watch this thing.
It's still a compelling story, even though we're kind of shitting on it.
Oh, yeah. So it's like, I told him about it. I was like, you've got to watch this shit. I remember hearing about it forever ago. And they've now got a documentary on Vice. It's fucking great. And I was telling him, I was like, man, I said, this one dude, I said, it's the bald-headed dude with like all the music gear around him that they keep showing in the documentary. I said, he looks familiar. I said, I definitely don't know his name. I said, his name doesn't sound familiar. I said, his band doesn't sound familiar, but he looks like one of those motherfuckers that would hang out at like the Milestone or Snug Harbor or some shit. No fucking lie. Like an episode or two later, it shows him standing outside Snug Harbor in Charlotte, North Carolina, burning himself with fucking cigarettes. And I'm like, okay, yep, I probably have seen this motherfucker out and about because he was with another guy we knew from another band at the time, just kind of hanging out. So I was like, fuck.
This is the fuck yeah guy at the Murder Junkies concert.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But no, and that's the thing too, is like that's why maybe that documentary kind of really compelled me and pulled me in.
Well, it's local. We don't get a lot.
It hits home in a way.
Yeah, because there's like so many, like you see the archetype of those people 5 minutes down the road in Plaza Midwood. So it's like there's like so much of almost like a weird home feeling watching it. And again, and especially with the amount of traveling I've done, it's very, and especially flying, it's weird. North Carolina does have specific foliage.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They really do.
They don't have these kind of people in Tennessee, that's for sure.
Well, I'm not saying people, I said foliage.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was like a term for something.
Yeah, it's a term for like
actual
trees.
actual foliage.
No, it's a term for trees and bushes and the stuff that grows. But
Flowers and shit.
Nature, motherfucker. But yeah, no, North Carolina just has like certain trees and foliage and stuff. So it's like even when you're watching it, the streets and the trees and the buildings have a certain familiarity to it, and it's very weird watching it. And especially the story of the dude like killing motherfuckers, leaving them in his basement, and like the family knew, and like weird shit like that. It's like, what?
Yeah, like the whole little burn pit he had out back, and the bodies are buried out back. Very shitty, very, very terribly, by the way. And the house,
the house
just being a junkyard.
A squad house. It was a crust punk squad house.
And the only good house was the mom's house.
I was gonna say, well, they talked to the mom at the end of it, and she's just kind of still trapped in her own little fantasy of like how her child was still like a good person on the inside.
Like the mom knew.
Yeah. The mom knew, but she
just didn't give a shit.
No. She was like, something was just gone with her because she was like sitting.
What am I to do? I don't know. Burn the house down with him.
What am I to do? My son is killing people. I mean, I don't know. That's I've watched so many of those things, and one of my other favorite things to do, and it kind of works for this episode. There's a bunch of YouTube series of confession tapes.
Yeah.
And there's this one guy that'll like start kind of showing part of the tape and then pause it and then go, okay, so his reaction here in his body language, a traditional person that actually is innocent would have actually responded a lot closer to this. Here's 6 examples. And then we'll like show a whole bunch of, he's like, so by judging the way he's responding and the way his eyes are doing and this, that, and the other, this is one of the more clear signs that he is probably guilty in this, which is what's leading the cops to further pressure him for questions, yada, yada, yada. I just find that kind of stuff so fascinating. So like even when they were going through talking about side stories and shit, I don't know. I think that's kind of still captivates me because it's like, look at what the lives around him still have to deal with.
Oh yeah, it's very grounded that way too.
Yeah, including the mom, you know, and it's like, see, and due to so much psychological bullshit he put them through to the point where the mom probably is a little fucked. I would be surprised if he didn't even drug her at some point. You know, just to even kind of get her on that point of not caring. Yeah.
I think my favorite character in that whole series, though, was the detective, because he was like that. He was almost like a TV show detective.
Oh, my God. Like, yeah, the guy that had the home office and shit. Oh, yeah, he was awesome.
He's like typing his reports with a cigar and a fucking like glass of whiskey. He's just like, my God.
I know. I love that character. He was great.
I didn't like the narrator.
You didn't like
most narrators on shit.
What
suck.
was the detective though, right?
Yeah, it was the bearded fellow with the family. Yeah, I didn't like that one.
You didn't like him?
No.
Oh, you didn't like it? The detective guy?
No, the way he just came across was kind of douchey. Like all he had to have been like, "Hey, I found this story, and this is how far I'm going to go with it." But there's some problems with it. But then it came into this whole like, I'm fighting the good fight, blah 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 blah.
Well, I'm doing actual. He's doing actual detective work.
I think the reason I was fine with it is he actually did have a personal motive behind it. Because his own son started getting into drugs and shit like that and hanging out with people like Pazuzu would have hung out with or like his crew kind of resembled. So, I don't know. I kind of saw his story as like he did get pretty fucking involved with it, but at the same time, I don't know, like if my little sister started kind of doing that kind of shit and there was a case that I was closely tied to, I might kind of take it on as strong as he did too.
And it comes back to that point about how this series and others of its ilk just kind of focus on these other characters. Like we're focusing more on the the detective and his family as opposed to Pazuzu himself.
And that's the problem I have with the Vice ones.
Yeah,
so a lot of time, and that goes with a lot of stuff Vice does. They trail off.
Yeah,
very quick. Like I didn't need to know the life story of the 2 junkies.
No, but
there was no reason to talk to those folks except for maybe 5 minutes. And that should have been the only part of the story we should have heard from them.
Because nothing comes out of their end of the story,
like,
really.
What the fuck did I learn? Oh, he wrecked a car and left it on 77?
Yeah, and old girl's fucking tricking herself out for fucking meth. I mean...
Yeah, and like trying to get food stamps. Like, I don't need to know this. This isn't pertinent to the story.
Calling her mom, lying to her,
like
getting all shit.
This isn't pertinent to the story of the alleged Satanist killing people. And
Yeah, can we get back to that story?
motherfuckers.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, that was the captivating bit.
And it is a very interesting story, especially on the local end.
Yeah.
But there are other local stories like The Staircase, which is a very popular murder that happened in North Carolina.
So what was that one?
It was an author, a very prominent crime author, who allegedly killed his wife by pushing her down the stairs. His other wife died falling down the stairs. You could argue that he just likes clumsy women, but that is the story, and it was a very it's a very drawn out documentary on Netflix. But you see very quickly that this guy most likely did murder his wife by pushing her down the fucking stairs.
The Staircase. I think my favorite Netflix series was Wild Wild Country.
Oh my god, I love.
I don't think I
cultists.
saw that one.
I love the cult.
The cult ones are great.
Right, so let me. I want to play the devil's advocate on this one because I was with them. I was like,
To
you
a
do
point.
your fucking thing until about episode 4. And I was just like,
'Cause the whole thing-
dude, they did.
Well, let's explain what the cult actually
Yeah.
was.
So the
start from
cult
the
is a microcosm of probably like Hinduism, Taoism, and Buddhism.
Okay.
All right. It's the best of every world. you know?
Right.
All right. We're going to pray. We're going to get laid every day. We're going to do what we want when we want. We're not going to hurt anyone.
Yeah, we're going to be good people,
Yeah,
but
a lot of stuff from Christianity, Islam,
No
Judaism,
government,
none
you
of
know.
that, but hippy dippy bullshit
Yeah.
that we all would have seen in the 60s, 70s. Here's the turn, though. If you've heard of what are they called?
Shrigio?
No. The Shuri people at the airports back in the day. You would see in the movie have you ever seen the movie Airplane?
Yes.
There was a dude with the beads, jumping up and down.
Oh, yeah.
That guy.
Okay.
That guy. It's kind of a lot like that, except this one they didn't do that shit. They did have a uniform.
Right.
They wore the colors orange, pink, and burgundy.
Right.
Yeah.
And they wore beads, and they had a central figure, Osho. It was this bearded fella who said, to a point where we can make heaven on earth. There's no reason that we have to die to live in heaven.
And apparently heaven on earth was in middle of nowhere, Oregon.
Well, that was the great part. That's why I loved it, because they went to a redneck part of Oregon, and people don't understand this. Oregon is a forest, except when you start walking east. Then it turns into the northern desert that connects to Idaho, the potato state.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a large desert there. They bought some land from a rancher legally. They immigrated here legally. They started a religion, which is tax-free exempt. And you know what they did with that little patch of desert? They turned it into a fucking oasis, because people in their cult were city planners, town associates. That's like
From all over the world,
all over United fucking States. And they brought all these people here, built a cult, built a bunch of A-frame houses. It built a little
A town, almost.
a small town. Yes, the small town of what was it?
Oh, shit. Hang on. Let me Google that.
It's so. But they built a small town out of nothing, something that people would strive for in the United States. Like, hey, I took this patch of land. There's grass, there's trees, there's rivers, there's animals, there's this, and now it's livable. I've turned a small place into nothing.
It was the Rajneeshpuram, probably pronouncing that wrong like a motherfucker.
Rajneeshpuram.
Yeah, Rajneeshpuram community in Wasco County, Oregon.
Yeah. So they took this little patch of land and turned it into a livable patch of land. I'm with them 100%. They're practicing their religion. They're keeping to them fucking selves. They're doing their thing. And then the rednecks showed up, started taking pop shots at them from the hills. Okay.
Because they're different and shit.
Because they're different. Okay. Now, a common response to that is call the motherfucking police, but some of them are the fucking police. Mm-hmm. Another problem with the police. So they did what me and mine would do if someone started taking pop shots at us. We'd get guns too. Mm. Except the leader of this cult, and it is a cult, is not Osho himself. He's still in India doing his thing. It's his second in command, Ma Anand Sheila.
This
I
old
fucking
gal.
love this psycho. Because she is a textbook American. By any means standard.
With a thick Indian accent.
Sharp Indian accent. But she don't take no shit, neither.
No, she doesn't.
All right? She is not one of these lay-down fucking Hindus who's going to take shit from anybody.
Right.
She bought some guns. Mm-hmm. And then they started walking around with guns. And she has the lady teach them how to shoot, blah, blah, blah. One thing leads to another. And she builds a bioterrorist attack on Shakey's Pizza.
And they also...
I know there's a little bit missing in context. but it goes from getting shot at by rednecks to basically buying a whole county and going to war with the guy that made Nike.
Yeah, basically.
There's a lot of stuff.
Well, when we were talking about local stuff, and since this is going to be kind of a, this is Halloween themed, or, done during Halloween time, figure I'd think of one of the more gruesome ones I could think of. See, was this a local one? It's something vague in my head. I don't remember it being a documentary of any sort, but I remember it being big news. A super Christian woman terrified that her child was possessed by the devil, and essentially the way to free him, she cut him from basically like neck to ass.
I don't know this
They basically
story.
gutted the motherfucker, and that was the only way that she was going to be able to free his soul.
That's pretty fucking metal. That is like a Cannibal Corpse cover.
I was going to say. But no, I don't know this story in particular.
Yeah, no, I can't think of it right off, and I know if I Google that, I'm going to get on a fucking watch list. So
I've known 2 murderers in my life.
God damn, all right.
So
let's get real then, motherfucker.
I'll say the name of the first one because fuck him.
Okay.
Because the second one can be argued. I went to high school with this man. His name was Andrew Ramsour. He came from a decent family. His brothers and sisters are decent, good Christian people, to the extent of where I say that.
Yeah.
He put an old man and a woman of 3 on their knees in a gas station and executed them.
With no
remorse,
cause.
no remorse
whatsoever.
Possibly to steal. So, capital murder in the commitment of another crime is a capital offense.
Yeah.
And he's on death row, as death row sits now, which is basically life in prison.
Yeah.
I'm a year away from this motherfucker in life.
Wow.
And
so what you're saying is you're a year away from killing?
No, I'm a year away. I'm a year younger than this man.
Yeah.
And I knew this person like I know y'all.
That's insane.
And he killed someone after he left high school. He dropped out, decided that he wanted to kill someone, rob a gas station. I don't know his motives. I don't care.
Yeah.
He's a piece of shit.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but going to this
No, I don't think Cap and I are going to sit here and go, but Chris, everyone has a bad day.
But that became my walk on the whole. Should the death penalty exist or not? I believe it should exist. I believe we should be very, very conservative on how we use it.
Yeah.
He's dead to rights. He's on camera killing these people. He looks directly at the fucking camera when he leaves. He is not trying to get away.
See, it wasn't even like so.
He robbed a store, killed 2 people, and I guess, and I'm just saying this as I guess.
Yeah.
Came to the realization they know what I look like. We'll see how it goes from there.
Yeah,
I don't know if he had a
makes
death
sense.
wish. I don't know if he decided, fuck it, I wanted to kill some people.
Yeah.
I can't say whether or not, but he did the act. His feelings are now far apart from the act. I don't care.
Just another way to show that none of us are going to be serial killers or something like that at the table. I'm sitting here going, I'm like, well, fucker, if you're going to actually do it, what is this?
But he did this crime. And it some people, I don't know if you listen to this, if you're from my neck of the woods, would probably know who the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But it was a big deal because it happened my senior year of high school. And everybody was like, oh, shit, I can't believe he did that, blah, blah, blah. And it came down to, it divided some people. Well, maybe he was going through some shit. And a lot of people were like, motherfucker, he wasn't going through a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
And then it was like,
I've been through some shit, but
like,
I've also not thought about going down to my 7-Eleven and offing some folks.
Right. But it is someone you know. So that can conflict on what you think the proper punishment should be. You think, especially with people like kids, if my kid does something bad, I'm going to punish him this way. But that motherfucker over there, I'm going to drown him in a pool. Right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it affects your severity of punishment. In my mind, and what I said at school at the time was, he should be strapped to the electric chair and thrown off a bridge. That's how he should go out.
I don't think many people would disagree with you.
Put him on his knees and shoot him in the back of the head like he did those people. I don't care.
Yeah, something.
Yeah. However, the second one I knew, it was involving a woman who was shot in the head in a hotel, put in a car and dropped in a county over. And he was involved. He passed away while in holding.
Right.
He had a heart attack and died, most likely.
Okay.
Now, the severity of the crime still exists. You know, it's one person. You actively tried to move the victim from the crime scene to another venue. And I think, and the only problem with this one is I don't know enough. But the person he was with was a child molester.
All right. Well, it almost falls under that category of
He
you
is an
are who
accomplice.
you hang out with.
Right. Like, this was a woman that got shot in the head.
Yeah, yeah.
And moved. Presumably, it was probably a drug deal gone bad. But they tried to hide the evidence by moving the body to a place that's more likely known for crime. And he died. And it hit me and a buddy of mine kind of hard.
Okay.
Especially my other buddy, because he was good friends with the guy.
Yeah.
It is a shocking thing to hear. Like, it's like hearing, like, someone we know killed someone.
Yeah.
Like if Davy Dirt, don't take the notes, Davy. But it's like if
Easy, Davy.
If Davy had just went into a 7-Eleven and got pissed they were out at Taquitos and started shooting up the place. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And like your idea was, what the fuck was he thinking?
I
A
know
lot
it.
of emotions are going to come in through. And then it's like, and then when you find out that, oh, hey, he was very callous about this, he or she were very callous about this, then you have to decide where your allegiances lie to punishment or a very liberal look at it.
Yeah.
And like, I see that a lot when I watch these documentaries, especially one, The Staircase, because the family, his sons, are very casual with him throughout the documentary. Like, oh no, my dad's innocent, even though there is a shit ton of physical evidence. Their mom died by falling down a fucking staircase. If I had a wife that died falling down the fucking stairs by accident, my next house would be level as shit.
Yeah, no shit.
There wouldn't even be a step up to the goddamn door. All right?
Everything would be ramps.
I would make sure my next wife would be a fucking acrobat and not some clumsy bitch. Okay? That's how I would see it. That would be my goal, is not to make anyone trip ever again. My mom was the same way when I was growing up about people choking, because she lost someone who choked to death in front of her. So guess what? All our food better be chewed the fuck up. Like,
and you know what? Well, see, and here's the thing. Since we're talking about true crime docs, and they always like going into the psychologicalness of it, which we did also, which we also did on that murder show, the few episodes we did. I think it really does come down to the way people process stuff.
Yeah.
And I even see a similarity between that and alcoholism. So, like, for instance, with me, when I was 21, I was never a big I would drink some beer every so often. I drink some whiskey, but it's like I never did like vodka and tequila. I wasn't a big, grain whiskey or alcohol.
Liquor.
Yeah, hard liquor kind of guy. Well, for my 21st birthday, motherfuckers were pumping me full of Jaeger. And I had a horrible experience. I never touched it again. Or I've known motherfuckers that have put themselves in the hospital multiple times due to alcohol. Yet they're like, I've just got to watch what I'm doing. So it's just, I think it's just the way people's brains are wired. Your mom seemed to have had a semi-level head on her, and that's why she was like, okay, yeah, motherfuckers chew your food, and that's why you would be like, hey, my ex-wife tripped down some stairs like a clumsy bitch and fucking killed herself. I'm going to make precautions to make sure my house doesn't happen in my house again, because that's fucking traumatizing. And just some people are like, my son murders and, puts stuff in the basement. Oh, well. Or, my ex-wife died on a flight of stairs. I'm just going to look at this 3-story building for my next house. It's like, some people are just so out there mentally, it just doesn't connect, I guess.
That's kind of one of the things that I like covering, true crime docs or serial killer docs and things like that, is learning how everybody was raised.
Yeah,
because everybody is a product of their upbringing. So it's just almost like everybody is their own little soup of fucked up experiences within serial killers and people involved with all these. Any of these doc series that we've been covering here today, they're all something happened in their youth at a very developmental age that caused them to do what they did later on in life.
You trying to warn us something, Cap?
I mean, I just watch Godzilla movies and play Nintendo.
Well, it's like with Chris, he actually had like some firsthand experience on this stuff. Have you known anyone like kind of connected or family that may have kind of fucked up?
I'd have to ask my dad about one relative, one distant relative we have that killed somebody.
Ooh, and I guess we do need to watch out for this guy.
In the hills of Nutbush, Tennessee.
I know.
That Nutbush,
Just imagine a zoom in shot at Cap's house. It's a nice house, and then you zoom back out, and then it's like your distant relative who lives on the outskirts of Memphis
in a trailer.
Yeah, in a trailer, but it's like a weird color, like an old 50-footer, and then you get real close and you hear.
And I would see her like semi-regularly when I was a little kid too. So when I found out about it, it definitely changed all kinds of perspectives.
My dad's uncle may have been a killer.
Well, I was gonna say,
but I didn't question that.
Now it's turned into a whole other podcast.
well, I figured it'd still be kind of interesting,
Well, this podcast does kill, so let's
yeah, exactly. Yes. Well, so I'm not gonna, since it's not his story, I won't say a name, but there was a friend of mine on Facebook. He may have been friends on y'all's too, but he actually grew up with the guy and knew the guy that did like the recent truck bombing or something near DC like a month or so ago. So so in a weird way, like we kind of knew someone that knew all that, but I'm not going to say the relative, but again, kind of like what Cap said, a distant relative on, I think my mother's side. I don't think she was ever convicted. I don't think there was ever any like full thing that happened, but it's basically agreed that she killed her husband by poisoning him.
Yeah.
Basically because he said, "Kill me." And she, like, so many years, like, bad marriage kind of shit. And he was like, "Why don't you just fucking kill me?" And she's like, "One day I might. One day I might." And he was like, well, and finally it was just like, "Well, fucking quit wasting your time and just do it already." That kind of bullshit. And then apparently one day when he was having his coffee, he just slowly started leaning forward and he was out.
That's a similar thing with my distant cousin. It's like my dad told me what happened, and as after the information was presented, we never talked about it again, never thought about this person again.
Yep. And that's kind of, we would every so often we'll bring that person up as like have we heard from so-and-so? kind of thing.
We never had that.
Well, maybe once every other year, Mom and I'll have the, have you heard from so-and-so? No? I haven't either. Well, now I wonder what's going on.
I'm genuinely curious about that distant cousin. I was like,
I know, right?
Whatever happened to her? Is she dead? Is she in jail?
It's the next episode on Vice.
Right? In Nutbush, Tennessee. Chris doesn't need a fucking, those
soundboard.
They just soundboards radio stations have for the fucking, all you need is the fucking
that one had a note to it.
Always get better at his instrument.
Dude, there's literally, so I showed a friend of mine last night. It was an instrument made for horror movies.
Yeah.
And it's this giant metal triangle that's welded both sides.
Yes, I've seen those.
And it's got springs and it's got a metal wire on the guide, and it makes the noises you hear in horror movies.
Yeah.
And it's a giant horror movie instrument, and he's got these little drumsticks with a padding wrapped around the tips, and he just glides it along the motherfucker. And it's like, hell yeah, man, that's badass.
And the thing is a lot. On that exact same note, those show up a lot on Instagram and YouTube as like little shorts, and you can like binge like 1,000 of them in like 2 minutes. And there was one guy that kind of shows like, like for instance, when someone's walking through a room in a movie, they're not recording the sound of actual feet. Yeah, they actually get stuff like blocks of wood and like clack them together, and it's like it sounds. When you visualize it and see it, and you're like, oh my god, no, that wouldn't work. But then as soon as it's put over your video, you're like, oh wow, that actually really does give the effect of walking. One of the ones people always mistake is like a fiddle or a violin doing like a like in Psycho. Mm-hmm. One of them, or a way to get it done, is those gongs that are about maybe I'd say 5-6 foot in diameter, maybe.
Yeah.
Get a bow that you would use for a violin and run it across the top of it, and it gives that whoa
that's cool.
really big sound like that. So no, I love finding shit like that. It's so cool.
Next record's going to be just Halloween music.
Dude, I can fucking do it.
I know we've kind of stuck to Netflix documentaries. What is the wildest one you've seen, like crime-wise? Because they've got a bunch.
Man, that is a tough one.
I think the wildest one I've seen, I know we kind of like, it was mentioned before, and it's a very, it's an odd case, but the Iceman tapes are very wild because on HBO, because they talk, the third part in particular, because they talk to Richard Klinsky, a psychiatrist does. He kind of picks his brain and tries to figure out what makes him tick.
And then he does that.
Oh yeah, he's got that little click thing where he's about to kill. Where he says it out loud. Where
he's like, I made this noise right before I got really angry and killed someone. And like, if you listen to the documentary over, like go back and watch it, he's talking to Johnny. So what made you want to be that brutal? He kind of makes him out to an animal for a second, and he goes, and it's like, oh shit.
And he even says out loud, it's like, if it weren't for these guards, I'd fucking kill you right now.
Yeah.
Just point blank. And apparently the psychiatrist diagnosed him with I'm not going to pronounce the name because I'll get it wrong, but it's like it's a diagnosis that's the same. It's a condition that pilots have and stuntmen have. Just
they're not afraid of. They're not fear.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of like
void of fear.
Yeah, some kind of like personality disorder that keeps you from like being scared of very
human things,
things like a height or hurting yourself, and he had that with killing people.
Yeah, he didn't have phobias.
No phobias like that, exactly.
Yeah, that was what I watched on Netflix. I had to click on it. It said, "Don't fuck with cats."
Yes, I've seen bits of that.
And they're doing these like internet sleuths and like Facebook guys and all this. And I'm listening to it. I'm like, this dude. Okay, granted, animal cruelty is right there with rape for me.
Yeah.
You need to be buried under the fucking prison. But I watched it and I'm just like, why are you watching these things?
Yeah, it's so over the top.
I know animals get treated poorly. I know there are puppy mills. I know cows get it bad. Okay, I'm still eating beef, and I would really like a nice Labrador. Okay, but stop watching those goddamn videos.
It's the only reason they get popular is because you click them.
Yeah, but that's what I say. She keeps breaking attention, so more people are going to keep clicking this goddamn video, and then it like evolves into he was actually building up to killing someone, and he does. He eventually kills someone. Okay, but that first part. You didn't think that fueled him a little bit of you been like him looking down and been like, oh shit, she keeps watching this video. Click, 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 click. You can downvote someone all they want, but you're still going to get the watches.
Yeah.
All right. I could give a fuck if I post a video and get 1 million goddamn dislikes. You're still watching.
It's still 1 million views.
Yeah, you're still watching the son of a bitch.
That's on YouTube.
Yeah, and and I could just imagine like the investigative quality of this. And they do. They go above and beyond on investigating who this motherfucker is, pinpointing where he is. And they do such a good job. But I'm still thinking, like, you don't think you facilitated him in any way when you started this? With just keep clicking and clicking his goddamn cat murdering videos?
No, I fully agree. And man, probably one of the more, I wouldn't say brutal, but always captivating documentary is I had it right before I started saying this. The one with the the compound that got all fucked up because they had all the guns and they refused to leave.
Waco?
Yes, that's not really like seriously. Any Waco documentary winds up being extremely captivating.
There's two ways to look at it too.
Yeah. That's the great thing about that story.
Yeah.
So both sides are terrible.
Yep.
All right, let's get that out of the way. The ATF.
In that time period.
Which I don't understand why they haven't changed the anagram, because now it's the Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Why not change it to the Department of Fate? Firearms. Why did you not just change the fucking name? Because ATF and E is stupid. Fate. That's a badass name. Because if some dudes rolled up to your house with MP5s and a stack team that said Fate on the background, you're going to stop doing illegal shit.
America.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I'm going to make that a t-shirt now.
Yeah, fate. Fate is what you make. John Connor, director of the fucking firearms, alcohol, tobacco, and explosives department. But the two sides to look at it was there was a guy in Waco, Texas, who is a runoff of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, who created a cult, who at some point decided to rape women and fuck with kids.
Yeah.
Now, ATF gets involved because now that church is buying Beretta 50 cals and pine cone grenades. And you know what I'm saying?
And this is right after
and they're talking like they are in right after Ruby Ridge, which is another stupid fucking story.
I hadn't watched that one yet, I don't think. Actually, maybe I did.
It is there's so many corners of that story that don't get touched in these fucking documentaries, because it's either one, he's a crazy redneck, or the other side is, oh no, he just wanted to live out in the woods with his family and they were executed by the government. You know, no, neither story is right. So
right.
But it's the same with Waco. Neither story is black and white. All right. Under the law, he does have religious freedom. If he wants to buy guns in Texas, he's within his rights to do so. Grenades, not so much. The Brady bill hasn't passed yet because it's still the fucking 80s. And so, yeah, and at the time, they were within their rights to buy guns. When the 90s hit, the Brady bill happens. Automatic rifles, you need a federal firearms permit. Grenades, you shouldn't be allowed to own grenades. There's no practical application unless you're hunting gophers.
Shout out to Paul.
Yeah.
And Dale Gribble.
Yeah. But, like, you know what I'm saying? There's no practical use. Like, oh, man, I'm going to catch this deer. Boom! And it's just like, I got his leg. Yeah. Got that son of a bitch. Or if you're a games fisherman, you know, that's when dynamite would help. Yeah. Got him. Yeah.
But
there was criminal activity going on. Now, in the 90s, white supremacy, just like now, is a very troubling aspect of society. But they were more blatant in the 90s. The internet wasn't as big. When they started on the internet, you know, with some of their advertising. They were hitting some people. They were communicating now. They killed a radio host in Texas, in Dallas.
I remember that.
They had the campground, encampments near Ruby Ridge, which escalated that situation. But Waco was seen as the first QAnon, in my opinion, of the government killing Christians. Yes, the war on Christians. I remember that when the federal holiday is on Christmas and Easter. Yeah, that's how you stop them. You stop them by giving them holidays. Forever.
But anyway,
this fake conspiracy of the war on Christians was Waco.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though David Koresh was a monster.
David Koresh was a monster in the highest form. A pastor, a preacher, someone you're supposed to be able to trust, just like Jim Jones or that weird dude in Houston on the television.
He was groovy too because he played the guitar and had a band too.
Yeah. So all cultists know how to play the guitar,
right?
None of them play the drums. They get a guy outside for that.
Well, it's because all drummers are fucking nutso in the head anyway. We can't deal with them. Wait, what?
Yeah. I don't want Big D on the goddamn drums while I'm trying to worship the Jesus. But anyway, so ATF gets involved because of rumor of guns and grenades and stuff like that, because a postal worker showed up with a box of grenades and it fell out of his goddamn hands and broke open. And, hey, look, a bunch of grenades fell out.
Yeah.
At a church. And he's just like, okay, groovy, I'm out. And then he told the fucking police, because that's what you're supposed to do. All right? If I showed up to this house and your neighbor had a box and he just drops it and a bunch of pine cone grenades came out, I'm just like, all right, hey guys, let's go do the podcast. Call the goddamn cops. Call them fucking now. That's what I'm doing. But even Waco from a distance is a clusterfuck.
Yes.
And it's all because a news crew went out. A news crew goes out. They get lost.
Goddamn media.
Yeah, they get lost on the way there, and they pass a truck. Hey, we're so-and-so channel, blah, 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 and we're here to film the raid on a compound out here. Which way is it? What compound? David Koresh's compound. And he's like, oh, it's that way. Those two guys were on the fucking compound before they arrived. They were church members. So now a heavily armed group has information of a federal agency coming to arrest David Koresh.
Take our guns.
Not just their preacher, their fucking Messiah.
Yeah.
And so now a Jesus complex, a Gandhi complex jumps in where, oh no, I can't let you take him. You'll kill him. Which works out exactly what happens in Wild Wild Country. They arrest Osho, and what they do is they deliberately stop at every airport they can to whittle this motherfucker's spirit down just before they bring him back, and he almost dies. Mm-hmm. But the ATF are in the wrong too, because they had no tact.
No.
All right, they had no understanding of the situation going in. It was, oh no, we're going in guns and blazing, because a situation before David Koresh happened, before Ruby Ridge, was white nationalists decided to arm themselves in a cabin in the fucking woods outside California and fill it full of fucking gunpowder and bullets and shit like that. And some dude shot a phosphorus round in the son of a bitch, and it exploded.
Yeah.
Okay. Fuck them. It exploded. So they didn't want to just start pumping round after round into the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So at first, they tried knocking on the door. No go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's where it gets fucked up on both sides. A fire starts. We don't know how the fire started. I assume it's the ATF. But there is also recordings.
Sorry.
He's just like, God damn it.
It fits though.
I know that's why.
But they try noise torture. They start blasting fucking metal music, all this stuff. David Koresh has a demand. You play my video on the news, and I'll let these people go. And that's when he said that will come out. That is a lie. He was never going to come out. And then the media fucked it up too, because they only played half his fucking tape. Dude's got a fucking television. All right, you don't think he's going to see that shit? There's also audio recordings of two guys pouring gas on the whole fucking place who are church members. They released all the kids. All the kids that weren't his kids were set free. The only kids that died in the fire were his kids.
Yep.
Because he refused to let them go. Because he was a psychopath. And the ATF were fucking idiots for thinking it was okay to light the motherfucker on fire. Okay?
But we got Will Ferrell as Janet Reno for those years.
But the 90s were a turbulent time for cults.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it was before the internet age, which now cults are fucking kicking ass nowadays. Mm-hmm. You can find a cult on any fucking Reddit page you want to.
See, Nexium, that's just the most recent, probably like
I'm not going to say where I work, but I'm pretty sure it's a cult. There are some cultish activities going on in my work.
You could argue Walmart is a cult.
Praise be.
Praise be, Sam Walton.
$1 bread.
Well, can we think of any other little true crime docs that have stuck out with us?
The Keepers is pretty fucking metal.
Yeah.
It's about Catholics. It makes you hate Catholics more.
There's a 2-part series, not a series, it's 2 separate docs on Eileen Wuornos that I watched on Netflix, made by the same filmmaker. I forget his name, but it's weird because it's more exploitative really of Eileen Wuornos
than educative.
Yeah,
it just makes fun of her.
Basically, yeah, it just kind of like look at the freak show that is Eileen Wuornos and Florida.
Now you got some really good ones like the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, which is a big story. You got the Scott Peterson one, the Aaron Hernandez one.
Dude, the Aaron Hernandez one was wild.
Yeah, he was a football player for the Patriots. The Keepers is good. Evil Genius is fucking hilarious for some goddamn reason.
Evil Genius, that's the one with the lady that made like the bomb collar. Yeah.
30 Minutes or Less is based on that.
Oh, okay.
The movie 30 Minutes or Less is based on that, but it was more serious back then. Murder Amongst Mormons is a batshit crazy one because, Mormons. They're like cartoon people. They're not real.
I watched the whole Surviving R. Kelly series that was on A&E too.
Yeah. That might as well be true crime.
Yeah.
It is a crime.
That is true crime. Shit.
But there is one I will mention, like just for the last one that kind of bothered me was The Evil Next Door.
I think I saw previews for that. I have not watched it yet.
Evil Next Door was a documentary about a Nazi, a presumed Nazi living in Wisconsin, of all places.
Fucking Wisconsin.
Because
you,
that
man.
is where the vanguard live. The immigrants of Northern Europe live. Wisconsin, Michigan, UP, Minnesota. That's why they're called the fucking Vikings for a reason. But it gave me pause for a moment watching it about the Nazis. All right, so we do know Nazis survived and moved to Argentina.
Yeah.
The United States lived out long lives after being, and I'm not talking about Nazi soldiers. I'm not talking about Nazi field generals, guys who fought Americans and Russians on the field. No.
Scientists and shit too.
I'm talking about Nazis in the black uniform with the Death's Head Division.
Yeah.
Commandants, guards, murderers in the highest regard.
See, Operation Paperclip was mostly on scientists, right?
Yeah, but these guys were the ones that kicked motherfuckers while they were down, put bullets in their fucking heads in front of their family, gassed, murdered, butchered people. This is where we get terms like the bitch of Belsen.
Right.
The fifth horseman of Ravenclaw. These are real things. Like people think
real life fucking villains.
Like, these are not fantasy characters. These people made lampshades out of motherfuckers because they could.
Yep.
And this was a guard who supposedly was at one death camp and moved to another. He moved to the United States. And essentially, Israel found him and said he was a guard at a death camp and was a notorious guard of sorts. Now, survivor said, yeah, him. When I was there, I saw that motherfucker.
That notorious, yeah.
Yes, and the problem is they were mistaken. This man is a Polish German man. He lived through World War II in those areas.
Yeah.
But the extent of mistaken identity is so gut-wrenching that you have frail, old Holocaust survivors swearing on God himself, saying that man was one of them.
Wow.
What's the name of this one?
Evil Next Door.
Evil Next Door.
I think that's on like Hulu or Netflix, isn't it? Yeah.
And
okay.
The brutalness of it, of them explaining to these survivors, well, no, he can't be there because he was here. There's documentation of him being here.
Yeah.
Now, you find out he was a guard of sorts, but as a soldier, not a Death's Head Division.
Right.
Which is very indicative of the Nazis. Was, oh no, we didn't know this was going on. And probably so. A field soldier in fucking Normandy is not going to know about death camps in fucking Poland.
This is before the age of immediate news.
Yeah, so, but not even that.
And especially if it's a dictatorship being ran, only people are going to be getting specific information as they see fit.
Yeah, but I'm not vindicating the fucking Nazis. But I am saying not all Nazis were German-born motherfuckers who deserved to be beat to death. Some of them were Czechs, Austrians, Hungarians, Italians. Okay.
Yeah.
So the idea of being snatched up after immigrating to a country after a terrible thing like World War II or any war and being accused of being the enemy was frightening. And the way that America just gives carte blanche to Israel for doing this, going into the United States, snatching up a U.S. citizen and saying he's a Nazi, we're going to kill him, is very fucked up in a way in drawing peace between two countries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we snatch up people all the time. The United States does it all the time.
Right.
And we're really good at it. But these motherfuckers were rolling up in a van in the middle of the fucking afternoon and snatching a motherfucker up.
Yeah.
And mistakenly killing people while they did this, because these kind of things happen. They killed the wrong person a lot of times. But it's that good intention.
Yeah.
That, okay, yes, the Holocaust is real. It is bad. But do we give them carte blanche to go between borders to hunt down Nazis Okay, it's not like I can.
It does sound like a compelling documentary.
It is, and it's very fucked up. Like, we don't allow countries or anywhere outside the United States, countries, to send authorities into the United States without a certain provision or help with, like, the FBI.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what keeps our free speech going. I could say China could suck my dick. That Winnie the Pooh cocksuckers could suck my dick and not have some gold star red flag waving Chinaman come through my goddamn door.
I don't know, man. We've got
Not
a pretty
yet.
big China base. You better watch what you say there, man.
We probably fucking do. But it keeps that from happening. It keeps bootstrap thugs from busting down your goddamn door.
I don't know. Ask John Cena about that.
John Cena is a coward. I don't want to see him. He can be invisible to me.
Well, on that note, I think this has been a damn scary episode talking about real life horrors when y'all been talking about your Fantasyland bullshit. It's fucking October, guys. I mean, we can't be talking about fantasy. We gotta be talking about the real bullshit up in here. So it was nice to finally be able to do that. We're gonna be keeping the spookiness going all this month right here on the fucking Patreon.
All night long.
That's right, baby. So for this episode of the Couch Potatoes, I've been Alex.
This has been Cap.
And Chris, do you have any sort of morbid final thoughts for us?
If you murder someone and I know you, we better be good friends. Because I will be the first on the Vice documentary saying that motherfucker was a piece of shit. He said Fred Rogers was a Nazi. He deserves to fry. Fuck him. He said LeVar Burton couldn't host Jeopardy. Fuck him.